I'm talking to Kathy Mattea, and I'm talking about songwriting. And she brought up the fact that her husband-to-be, John, writes for the right reasons. What are the wrong reasons to write songs?
Oh no, I knew you were going to get me into this. I don't want to. I don't want to. I mean, my critique of the songwriting profession, is
I'm
is
just
just
curious.
my little slice of the pie. I think it's that every songwriter has a struggle between writing what one considers to be good art or writing something that's going to be commercial and appeal to a lot of people. And there's always a struggle of which side of that coin you focus on more. And the idea is to find the balance.
I don't know that the general populace is looking for an idealist unless he strikes a populist mood. For instance, for a few weeks you could have had records out about Ollie North and gotten them played, and probably sold some records.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Oliver North period faded. I suppose if you're writing about popular causes, the general public is ready for idealism.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't you agree that you have to write commercially in order to be successful?
Yeah, that's the definition of success, isn't it? I mean, you have to write stuff that people like, and that's being commercial. But it's a struggle. I mean, I've gone through it too.
You have the same struggle in picking songs.
Exactly.
You might have a song that has a great message that nobody wants to hear.
Right. Or that takes too long to tell it, or that is a wonderful message that most people don't ever think about. And it has to catch people's ear at the same time. It's a hard struggle to find those special songs that are pleasing to you and yet say something at the same time.
Do you write?
I've written. There was a song of my own on my last album, but it's a difficult process for me, and I don't think that I wouldn't sign me to a writer's deal. And so,
it's like the guy that said, I wouldn't join a club that would have me as a member.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm not ready for that level yet. I think there's good songs in me, but it'll take a few years of developing to get myself to that point. And right now, I'm just learning about this other side of the business and trying to keep that under control.
I mean, this recording side, this
Yeah.
recording and trying
Touring.
to get records and touring. It's going from zero to, from living a life on Record Row and just hanging out, trying to get a record contract. And I know you've had various kinds of jobs to hang on. Going from that to having hit records and then suddenly having to have a band, a bus, and all the...
A manager, an accountant, a lawyer, a secretary, a road manager, all that stuff.
That's a quantum leap. Are people getting on to how to pronounce Mattea now?
Yeah. People don't. I don't very often run into people who say it wrong anymore.
Did we agree that is that Italian?
Yes, it sure is.
Are you a good Italian cook?
Yes, I am.
Spaghetti
and ravioli and lasagna. Those are my specialties. I make homemade pasta. That's like one of my deals. A healthy appetite growing up. It's been a struggle for me.
Now,
my weight.
Do Italians, or in your case, does Kathy Mattea necessarily like Italian food?
I love Italian food.
Okay.
Well, see, I was raised with spaghetti once a week or twice a week, so, I mean, it was just there. And my mother makes this incredible sauce because she had to make it for my dad, and so.
Are both Italian?
No, just my father. I'm half Italian.
What's your mother's maiden name?
Legg, Legg.
Legg?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Sort of Heinz 57, mostly Welsh and Dutch, a little bit of Cherokee Indian.
So what's your father's name?
Oh, his name is John Joseph Mattea. My grandparents were Carlo Mattea and Antonia Regis.
There's an Antonio there?
Antonia, my grandmother.
Antonia. They
Yeah.
call your grandmother Tony?
No, I didn't know her very long. She died when I was real young. She was real sick, so mostly I'd sort of walk in and try to figure out what she was saying. Someone would have to translate, and then I'd go away. And she was sort of this woman that I never really knew very well.
Do you speak Italian?
No, my father does.
Do you know a few phrases?
Sure, I don't know a few things.
I would assume growing up in a house with a father that speaks Italian, you'd pick up something.
Yeah, except that my dad moved away from his hometown. We didn't live in the hometown my dad grew up in, so a lot of other people, there weren't any Italian-speaking people around him, so there wasn't a lot of way for him to keep it up, He understands it better than he speaks it and has to go pretty slow because it's just been so long for him.
Does the gentleman, John,
Hmm.
that you're going to marry, does he like Italian food?
He loves it. He loves it. He
Or does
came
he
to
go-
my house for dinner the
Or
first
does
time.
he just love you
He loves.
and puts up with your cooking?
No. He's amazed that I can cook. It's pretty funny. He came to my house for the first time. My mother made him dinner. He said, "All this food is red. It's so beautiful. It's all red. Look at it." It was like, he just wasn't used to that. It was really, he's German in background.
So I guess everything had tomato sauce on it.
Yeah,
It was all
just
red.
about.
I've always liked you.
I know.
I really have.
Boy, that sounded egotistical, huh? Can we edit that part?
No. I've always thought you'd be see, I'm an only child. And I've always thought you'd be a neat sister.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm sort of an only child. My brothers were much older than me, sort of out of the house for most of the part that I grew up.
And I've always thought you had talent, but I just think you're a neat person.
Thank you, Ralph.
And I wanted to mention your new album, which is called Untasted Honey.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
I'm really pleased with this album. Walk the Way the Wind Blows, which was the last album, was the first album that I'd made where I really didn't have any major regrets after it was over. It lived well with me, and I thought, that's me. That album is me. So when I sat down to make this one, I thought, you go through all these emotions. I was thinking, well, is that just something that was a fluke that happened once that you can't do again? Maybe it was just a magic time. And as we gathered the songs for this album and we started recording it, I feel like I like it in a whole different way than I like to Walk the Way the Wind Blows. And I think that I took some risks vocally, and we tried not to make another record that sounded just like the last one.
What do you mean you took some risk vocally? Tried some new things?
Yeah, there's a song in there called Late in the Day, which is sort of it's sort of country blues, but it's a ballad, but it's real different than anything I've ever done. And my first thought when I heard the song was how beautiful it was, but that I didn't think I could sing it. And one day we were in the studio and had like some extra time on the end of a session and just pulled it out and started messing around with it. And I wound up doing a vocal that I didn't think I could do. I mean, I believed myself when I heard it back.
Do you think there's songs you can't sing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Notes you can't reach?
Yeah. There are times when you hear a demo on a song and some other singer has a quirk in their voice and you try to imitate it and it just won't work on your voice. You have to sort of sometimes get away from it long enough to approach it from your own point of view.
What's your current single?
Going Gone.
How's it doing?
Really good.
Great. What else will you release out of this?
The second single will be, we've already chosen 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses.
What is that about?
It's sort of
is that a
a
trucker's song?
Yeah, it's sort of a trucker's love song. It's about a guy who's been out on the road for 30 years and it's his last day on the road and he's going to retire and go home to his wife.
And Take Her a Dozen Roses?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a neat song.
It's real charming. So.
You have a song in here written by Janice Ian.
Yes, and I just got a letter from her in the mail about it. I was thrilled.
I met her one time. She was one of the saddest people I've ever met in my life.
I think her music's real sad sometimes.
I think she had a tough childhood. And,
I think she's wonderful.
And it was etched in her face. I interviewed her. I sat like we're sitting here. And she sat down and I felt sorry for her. She looked sad.
Her music is very melancholy, I think. But the song that's on this album that she co-wrote it with Rhonda Fleming, and it's bittersweet, but it's really moving and very positive. But there's a melancholiness to it.
I'm wondering what's running through your mind now, as you approach marriage and a career. Are you wondering how much your life will change?
Yeah, I think
you've got to be. You're a smart girl. You've got to be analyzing the situation.
I think I expect my life to change, but I'm ready for the change. I'm ready to sort of move into a new lifestyle. I'm ready for the commitment.
How old are you?
28.
Your mom and daddy, are they happy you're getting married?
They think he hung the moon. They like him better than they like me.
I guess all your brothers are married?
Mm-hmm. Both
so
my brothers
you're the baby?
Yes.
In your family? So the baby's getting married. Where are you going to do this? In Nashville or back in West Virginia?
We're going to do it here. I felt, we talked about it, and West Virginia is a long ways, and Minnesota's a long ways, and it sort of isn't fair to have the wedding in one of our hometown and not the other one. And this is where we met and where all of our friends are, and it just seemed to make sense.
Now, have you ever thought about the privacy you're going to have to give up?
In what sense?
In what sense? Well,
For the wedding, you mean?
No. I'm talking about you. When you move in with somebody, you share everything.
Well,
you share the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, you share the kitchen. Maybe he's standing in front of the sink when you want to get a drink of water. You know, it gets a little crowded.
Well, I've had roommates my whole life. I mean, I've actually never lived by myself.
And you have to start discussing finances. You know.
Yeah.
Do we buy this instead of, hey, I think I'll run out and buy this.
Or you're looking at a woman who has 5 bank accounts, just for me, you know, between business and personal. So, or no, I'm sorry, I think it might be up to 7 now. So
why does it take 7 bank accounts to run
there's the payroll account, there's the T-shirt account, there's the,
Okay, I understand.
There's the grocery account, there's the.
But what I'm saying is, your life is going to change because you're going to be living very closely with someone who has input into all of your decisions. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you buy a piece of furniture, will he like it?
Well, you know, I'm lucky. We're just very lucky because we're just on the same wavelength so much. We've gone shopping around and stuff and talked about the way we want our house to look, and we just immediately agreed on the dishes that we were going to register for, and immediately agreed on a couch that we saw that we really loved, and it's just like we have a lot of the same taste. And that part hasn't been a problem, and I'm not scared about it because I feel like our communication is so good that I feel like we can really work through it.
You're going to start out living in a house?
Yeah, unfortunately I just bought a house with my best friend, and so now it's like, well, Marsh, what do you think? Who gets the house? I think she's going to stay in the house, and we're going to move in together into another place.
Oh, okay. So you're going to have to give up. I don't guess you can take your roommate into this new situation.
Well, no, not unless we adopt her, and I don't think she wants that. So.
Kathy, for all these folks who are trying to catch on to who Kathy Mattea is, let's review your records for them for a moment, the singles.
Okay, you want to start from the beginning?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
This is what you've been singing. When they would hear these songs on the radio, it would be this lady, Kathy Mattea.
Okay. My first single out was about 4 years ago. It was called Street Talk, and it did pretty well.
Yes, it was, I thought, one of your best singles.
Yeah.
Good debut record. Street Talk reminded me of
Terry Gibbs.
Terry Gibbs.
Yeah, it was written for her, actually, originally. We followed that up with Someone Is Falling in Love, which was a real ballad song, and that crossed over and went up the adult contemporary charts. Then we came out with a record called That's Easy for You to Say, which only went to number 50, and so not very many people heard that. Then we did, the 4th single off the first album was called You've Got a Soft Place to Fall, and we did a video on that still runs. A lot of people saw that and really liked it. Then the second album we had 3 singles off of, but we hadn't really, had a big hit yet, even into the second album. The first single was called It's Your Reputation Talkin'. The second one was He Won't Give In, and the third one was Heart of the Country. But it wasn't until my third album that I had a hit record, a top 10 record.
Which was?
Love at the Five and Dime.
Okay.
And then after that we put out Walk the Way the Wind Blows. And then the third single was You're the Power, and then Train of Memories. And those all went top 10.
Okay, but I guess the whole career turned on Love at the Five and Dime.
Absolutely. That's the career song for me. It was the one that changed everything.
I'm going to talk about Nashville now. I know everybody doesn't have cable and everybody doesn't have satellite, but a lot of people do. And I had a lot of fun with Kathy on one of our shows when we were talking about her house she had just purchased. And you said, and I was kidding you about your boyfriend, who I guess is the same gentleman you're going to marry, and you said he would come over and help you fix up the house. And then what did you say? You always liked a man?
I just said, you were like trying to get me to tell you whether I was going to marry this man or not, and I knew very good and well this man didn't want anywhere near marriage, and so I looked up and said, yeah, Ralph, now that I'm a homeowner, I judge a man by his tools. And I didn't even think about what I was saying.
Anyway, the audience went a little crazy, and so did I. I mean, we all laughed. But what I'm wondering is, what happened after you went out on the road? Did you get a lot of reaction to that?
Oh, Lord.
Because you fell over on the couch.
Well, first of all, John's toolbox was at my house at the time because he'd been helping us out with some little stuff around the house. That disappeared the next day. For real. And I don't think it's been back since. And the next night, I was out on the road playing with George Strait. And in the middle of the show, his bus driver sends the toolbox out onto the stage. He's like, they're like in the, when the stage is dark, they're kicking the toolbox out there for me to see. The audience couldn't see it, but I could see it. They were just being ornery. And the audience, would look up and yell toolbox. And people pitched me tapes in toolboxes. And some people in Pennsylvania made me a personalized toolbox. And it just turned into a huge shtick.
I thought people would react to that. That was funny.
It was funny.
And you did a beautiful double take.
My first thought was, is this so risque? My parents aren't going to speak to me anymore. I couldn't figure out if I had done something really off color.
Have you had other little quirks happen to you?
Well, let's just say that tact is not my strong suit most of the time.
You said things on stage you hated that you had said?
Yeah, I have. Years ago, before I went on the road, before I was really on the road, I had just gotten a record deal, and I was playing at a little club in town here, and we had rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. And it was just after the record label had said, let's sign you. So they were all out in full force, right? A double table reserved in the middle of the room and everything. And we're doing one of our favorite songs. We're ending the set, it's like the big finish number for the set. We go into it, the chorus, and I start singing the bridge. I'm in a completely different key. So I turned around, I think, I'm going to make a great recovery. I count the band off. I said, chorus, chorus. And they were like, okay. And we did the exact same thing again.
You made the same mistake twice.
Yeah. And at that point, I was so frustrated, I said a word that I probably shouldn't have said. And then turned around, we all looked at each other, we knew where we were, and we finished the song. But it was, I was like, I can't ever do that again. It was before, I was just so frustrated because it wouldn't happen. And there they all were, sitting right there.
All the big record moguls.
Yeah.
Kathy, thank you. It's nice to talk to you.
Nice to see you, Ralph.
Good luck to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Ralph.